Let's go Ravens! A change has just happened behind the scenes that could completely alter how people view the Ravens' running game this season. One of the fastest and most explosive players the team has ever had has officially left, and the way this situation unfolded is already generating a lot of discussion among fans. Some believe Baltimore lost a secret weapon, while others think the front office knows exactly what it's doing. But before we get into the details of everything that happened, be sure to click the like button if you believe the Ravens will come back even stronger this season. And in the comments, write this message to show your optimism for the team. Go Ravens! In 2026, we'll be back stronger. Now, let's talk about the change that nobody expected to happen this way. The big development here is that running back Keaton Mitchell is no longer part of the Baltimore Ravens. According to reports, he has signed a 2-year deal worth $9.25 million with $5 million fully guaranteed with the Los Angeles Chargers. And for a lot of Ravens fans, this one hurts more than people expected. Because if you watched Mitchell closely, you know he wasn't just another depth piece in the backfield. He brought something unique to the offense. When you think about the way the Ravens run the football, you immediately think of Derrick Henry, a physical, grinding running back who wears defenses down. But Mitchell offered the complete opposite style. He was the lightning to Henry's thunder. Mitchell had the kind of speed that changes a game instantly. He could be standing next to the quarterback 1 second and then, just moments later, he's breaking loose for a huge run down the field. That explosive ability made him incredibly dangerous, especially on outside runs, toss plays, and pitch plays where he could use that acceleration and agility to attack the edge. And that's why this move is so frustrating for some people around the Ravens community. There were moments where Mitchell showed exactly what he could do. In several games he was averaging massive numbers per carry, sometimes close to double-digit yardage every time he touched the ball. When he got space, it often felt like a big play was about to happen. Yet there were also stretches where he simply disappeared from the offense. There were games where he would start heating up, making explosive plays, and then suddenly he would stop getting touches entirely. Ravens fans noticed that pattern, and it created a lot of confusion about how the team was managing his role in the offense. Even earlier in the season, there were times when Mitchell was healthy but still inactive for multiple games. When questions came up about why he wasn't playing, it was suggested that defenses react differently when he's on the field, almost like his presence alone signals a certain type of play. But many fans felt that shouldn't limit how a player like him is used. After all, having a weapon on the field doesn't mean the ball has to go to him every time. Another interesting part of Mitchell's story with Baltimore is how his career with the team actually began. He arrived as an undrafted rookie free agent. Every team in the league passed on him in the draft, including the Ravens themselves. Yet after signing him, the team clearly saw something special. When he suffered an injury during the preseason in his rookie year, the Ravens still kept him on the roster instead of stashing him away. That decision showed the organization believed he had real value, and when he eventually got his opportunities, you could see why. The burst, the speed, the ability to turn a small crease into a huge gain. It reminded some people of the type of speed produced by players from the same college program as Chris Johnson, another player known for world-class acceleration. Now Mitchell takes that speed to Los Angeles, where he will join a Chargers offense led by quarterback Justin Herbert. And there's already an interesting connection forming there, because the Chargers have added several players who previously spent time with the Ravens, including J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Ben Mason, and Charlie Kolar. And when you look at the full picture, Ravens fans, this situation becomes even more interesting when we start thinking about why the organization may have allowed Keaton Mitchell to walk away in the first place. Because the Ravens had a decision to make before free agency really took off. They could have tendered Mitchell, which would have kept him under team control for another season at a relatively modest salary. Reports suggested that tender could have been somewhere around the range of a few $1 million. But the Ravens chose not to tender him, which immediately opened the door for other teams to step in and make an offer. And that's exactly what happened. The Los Angeles Chargers stepped up with a 2-year contract worth $9.25 million, including $5 million fully guaranteed. That's a serious vote of confidence in a player who originally entered the league as an undrafted rookie free agent. From Mitchell's perspective, this is a big opportunity. A fresh start, a new offense, and a team that clearly believes he can be a major weapon. When you imagine his speed in open space, it's easy to see why a quarterback like Justin Herbert could benefit from having that kind of explosive running back in the backfield. And here's something else that adds another layer to the story. The Chargers have quietly been building a roster that includes several players who once played for Baltimore. Over the past couple of seasons, they've added J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Ben Mason, and Charlie Kolar. So Mitchell isn't walking into a completely unfamiliar situation. There are already players there who understand the type of physical football the Ravens emphasize. But from the Ravens' point of view, the front office may believe they already have a clear structure in the running back room. Derrick Henry remains the foundation of the rushing attack. The Ravens have used him primarily as the power runner who controls the pace of games and punishes defenses. Justice Hill has often been used in passing situations, especially for pass protection and receiving out of the backfield. Rasheen Ali also started to see some involvement later in the season, particularly in pass protection and occasional rushing attempts. So when you look at that setup, the Ravens may feel comfortable with the depth they already have. And there's another possibility that many analysts are starting to talk about. The Ravens could be planning to draft another running back. Someone who can do a little bit of everything, run between the tackles, catch passes, protect the quarterback, and still have enough speed to break big plays. Because while Derrick Henry is still extremely productive, everyone understands that running backs eventually reach a point where teams start preparing for the future. That doesn't mean Henry is slowing down, but it does mean the organization might want to start building the next layer of the backfield. Still, for many fans, the toughest part about this move is the feeling that Keaton Mitchell's potential was never fully unlocked in Baltimore. There were flashes that showed exactly what he could be. The acceleration, the agility, the ability to take a simple outside run and suddenly turn it into a massive gain. Plays like that don't happen often, and when they do, they can change the entire momentum of a game. Now those explosive moments will be happening somewhere else. And if Mitchell thrives in Los Angeles, if he starts producing highlight runs every Sunday, you can bet Ravens fans will remember the times when he showed that same spark in Baltimore. But at the end of the day, this is the reality of the NFL. Rosters change, players move on, and sometimes talented players simply find their biggest opportunities somewhere else. Now the Ravens move forward with Derrick Henry leading the charge, Justice Hill continuing to play his role, Rasheen Ali developing, and possibly a new running back arriving through the draft. The question is whether the team just lost a hidden weapon, or whether this is simply part of a bigger plan for the future of the offense. In fact, when you go back and analyze Mitchell's time with the Ravens, there were many signs that he had the potential to become a much bigger part of the offense if things had unfolded differently. Every time he touched the ball, there was a sense that something explosive could happen. And in today's NFL, that type of home run speed is extremely valuable. Defenses are always trying to eliminate big plays, and Mitchell was exactly the kind of player who could break that rule at any moment. What also made him intriguing was how different his style was compared to the rest of the backfield. Derrick Henry brings power and endurance, wearing defenses down as the game progresses. Mitchell, on the other hand, brought instant acceleration. That contrast could have created a dynamic combination where defenses never knew what type of attack was coming next. And remember, many of Mitchell's biggest plays came when he was able to reach the edge of the defense. Outside runs, toss plays, and quick pitches allowed him to hit top speed almost immediately. Once he had a single block or a small lane, it often turned into a huge gain because of how quickly he could separate from defenders. Now that ability will be heading to Los Angeles, where the Chargers may very well design plays specifically to maximize that speed. If they commit to using him consistently, it wouldn't be surprising to see him become one of the most exciting change-of-pace backs in the league. For Ravens fans, this move will probably be one of those situations that people keep an eye on throughout the season. Every time Mitchell breaks a long run or shows that elite burst on highlights, there will always be that question in the back of people's minds.